See, the first step is the hardest, right?
Right.
So that is the word, to be able to incubate them so that they can launch themselves in the market with good products, but also with the right operational infrastructure.
Hello Malaysia, hello world. Apa khabar? Welcome back to another program of our ECM Talk with a topic for today: is cloud kitchen a new future for food industry? I'm Rajesh Shahrul, your host. The food industry is changing. High startup costs, burdensome regulations, and now COVID-19 have all threatened the restaurant industry and traditional food business models. And now we have cloud kitchens. A cloud kitchen, also referred to as a ghost kitchen or virtual kitchen, is a commercial kitchen space that provides food businesses the facilities and services needed to prepare menu and takeaway. Unlike the brick and mortar locations, cloud kitchens allow food businesses to create and deliver food products with minimal overhead. From 2019 to 2020, meal delivery orders have increased by more than 150% around this region. It is anticipated that the market to increase 10 times over the next 10-year period. More and more restaurant owners and food entrepreneurs are turning to cloud kitchens as an ideal business solution to capture the increase in food delivery demand. Curious about cloud kitchens and want to find out more? I have here with me Mr. Tony Lika, the CEO of Foodle, and his marketing manager, Ms. Nadia Norzudi, to share with us on cloud kitchen business. Hello, Mr. Tony Lika and Ms. Nadia. Welcome to ECM Talk. Apa khabar?
Hi, okay.
Good. I understand you can speak good bahasa too, Tony.
Quite a fair bit. I wouldn't say good, but
I'll test you later. Okay, I'll start with you, Tony. Can you tell us a bit more about what cloud kitchen is all about?
it's gotten quite a bit of a buzz lately, and the pandemic made it even more accentuated, right?
Right.
Cloud kitchen is in itself a kitchen or a store that simply exists in the cloud, aka online. So they interact with consumers via the delivery platform.
Okay.
And that's how these new type of restaurants have set themselves up.
Okay.
So that is what cloud kitchens are for. Now, obviously, you're asking me what cloud kitchens are, and I would perhaps later on in the show we can explain a little bit of a difference between what Foodle is and how close or far we are from the cloud kitchens.
Good, very good.
But that is all in itself.
Interesting. Nadia, Foodle, how does it get its name, and your tagline too, the interesting tagline.
Yes.
Maybe you can share with us.
Okay, so like Tony mentioned, the cloud kitchen is a collective. So if you want to look at us as a space with many different kitchens, with a variety of food offerings curated for any kind of appetites, then really the easiest way to look at us is like a food hall or a food court, right? So this food hall colloquially becomes Foodle, right? So for consumers, or actually for our merchants, our the partners that we're bringing on board, for them to conceptualize, it's a relatively new concept in Malaysia.
Exactly.
For them to really understand what the operation is all about, that we sometimes will drop the line. So it's a virtual food court. It's a virtual food hall, and that's how Foodle came about.
Okay, and the tagline.
Yeah. So our kitchen, your solution.
Yeah.
Our kitchen is your solution. Really, we want to solve we want to be a one-stop solution for our food operators. They simply come in and bring their apron, really, or bring their spatula,
That's
and
all.
everything is all set up, customized for their operations. They just move in. So it's hassle-free, take away their headaches for them.
Right,
And it's a
right,
full
right.
solution, 360 solution.
But then again, to educate them to understand about the concept of cloud kitchen is another thing. And how would you do that, Tony? I mean, it's something new
Yeah.
as far as Malaysia is concerned.
Yeah.
If someone wants to go into cloud kitchen,
Yeah, I've been in F&B for most of my working life, right? And F&B, fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, it appears to be an industry that can sustain any form of economic pressures. And we just survived, or at least the worst of the pandemic. We don't know whether it's over, but as an industry, it has remained resilient.
right?
However, from an inside-out point of view, I would say that it's probably one of the few industries that has not been able to evolve with the times. Now, a bit of an anecdotal story, right? Back in the days, we would experience the dining as part of our occasional events.
Right.
For example, you probably spend your birthday in a fancy store.
Yeah.
Your parents celebrated their anniversaries in such restaurants.
Right.
And these are the restaurants where you could not ask for a tissue because there was none.
Right.
Napkins were made of cloth.
Right.
Waiters were dressed as waiters. There were probably nice cushions and sittings, and the ambience was very different.
Exactly.
Now, for that, my dad or your dad probably paid a lot of money for it, but it was an occasional event,
Right.
one that we would only look forward to occasionally.
Yeah.
Now, what happened through the years is that the difference between what we used to call the experiential dining and the functional food
Right.
somehow got blurred. So we have a lot of new restaurants that make a lot of effort into presenting their food and their cuisine in the finest way possible. So what has happened effectively is that neighborhoods are seeing more and more restaurants being set up
Right.
and offering that experiential food experience.
Right.
However, not many people can afford that experience. And
Precisely.
in order to deal with the pressure of lesser sales and also the economic pressures of many of the costs that are associated with running that business, then the entrepreneurs and operators would have had to turn to cutting costs or competing on price. And this has led to a rather sad statistic. I remember in 2016, CNBC published an article that says 60% of the restaurant businesses will fail in their first year. And 80% would not make it past their fifth. So if we were to take that into the Malaysian context, I mean, statistics would vary by country, right? But let's assume that, and it's not too far in Malaysia too, but let's assume that 60% of Malaysian restaurants would fail every year. If the Department of Statistics suggests that there are 150,000 to 200,000 retail food joints or restaurants in the market. Now 60 to 80% of that would mean that 90,000 to 120,000 restaurants would close every year.
Gosh.
And the money that have invested to make such beautiful places would be on average probably between 200 to 500,000.
Right.
And 80% of them would fall into this category. There are those that probably spend less, and these are the hawker stalls and etc. etc. And there are those that have spent a lot more.
Yeah.
So when you take that amount of investment and multiply that with a number of people that are bound to fail, we are looking at probably 18 to 24 billion ringgit of investment gone bad. Now this is the challenge of the food industry.
Yeah.
It has seen a lot of casualties.
Correct.
And this becomes the problem that setups such as cloud kitchens or food halls such as ours are focused on dealing with. And we believe we have the solution for that.
Now, having said that, Tony, obviously the food itself, the preparation of the food itself, there's no compromise. Or would that be a challenge for your customers?
No, see, God is fair. And there are no shortcuts or secrets to having a successful model, but there are compromises. And why we are very often referred to as a cloud kitchen is because, for starters, kitchen is something that we have not compromised with. And that's where the production of the food happens.
Right.
Now, a little inside information about the restaurant business. Traditionally, this model is broken down into what we call 3 sections of a restaurant. You have the back of the house, where the food gets produced. You have the middle of the house, where the last prep happens, and probably that's where the drinks are prepared, and etc., or plating. Then you have the front of the house, where the customers are dining, and the customer service happens. So 3 sections of a restaurant. And this is unfortunately, so a restaurant industry has gotten stuck in a time warp,
Right.
and has never evolved from this model, not until the recent years.
Right.
So what we've done is we've taken a kitchen and we have done that, we have made sure that it runs, the space has been efficiently utilized.
Correct.
However, what we have done is we've taken from the operators the middle and the front of the house, and that's how they outsource that section onto us. And it's the fractional economics that allow us, by the sheer volume of the number of operators, to drive efficiencies out of the middle as well as the front of the house.
Right.
But the kitchen, where the food happens, there has been no compromises there.
Remains. There's no change, i.e. quality remains the same.
That's right.
It's just that, like what you said, Tony, you're only helping out in terms of, at the end of the day, is about cost-cutting measures.
I wouldn't call it cost cutting. I mean, for lack of other terms, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I would probably refer to it as productivity gains.
Right. Yeah.
So, what do you get out of $1 spent? And if you were to manage a full restaurant yourself, with the top line pressures and the sales that may or may not be coming in, and your setup being directly tied to the way the restaurant has been set up, back of the house, middle of the house, and front of the house, that means your labor must correspond to that. You
Right,
need people
right,
to
right.
be placed in the back of the house, middle of the house, as well as front of the house.
Yeah.
Number 2, your rent.
Right.
You got to rent
Right.
this space,
Right. Right.
regardless of whether it is revenue generating or otherwise. Utilities. You got to run the aircon with or without customers
Exactly.
in the shop.
Exactly.
Even if one customer walks into the shop, they would expect that the temperature is conducive to enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
So these are the implications of having to run a full store yourself.
Right.
And see, when I engage with our partners, my first and initial suggestion is that if you can run a full store, that should be prioritized.
Right. Right.
If the unit economics support running of a full store, that should absolutely be prioritized, because consumers will be able to interact with your brand in every possible way.
Right. Right.
There is that customer loyalty. There is that engagement that they feel. Foodle, it appears that 80% of them will fail anyway
Right.
because of this model. And that's
Right.
where perhaps Foodle and the model that we've put together comes in.
Interesting. Nadia,
Yeah.
who uses cloud kitchen? How do you get people to come in
Yeah.
and rent your cloud kitchen?
Okay. So So now we're zoning in on just the merchant side, right? So the type of merchants that we're looking for, well, ideally it's anybody with a food operating, any type of F&B operators. But what we really want to make right with Foodle is to be able to curate the type of businesses that are one can understand and conceptualize this kind of production. It's not your traditional,
Right.
like Tony mentioned.
Exactly, yeah.
And as well as people that are operators that are willing to innovate a little bit. They understand the benefits of not having a physical store, not having to be tied down to high rental, high labor costs. They're on top of the many different benefits that Tony mentioned just now. There's also this. Which I find is very valuable, is that they're able to, in a traditional restaurant, they're very grounded to the same type of menu. Nasi lemak suddenly cannot do pizza the next day, right? Okay. They have the menus, they have the everything is solid. People come there for nasi lemak. But in a cloud kitchen setting, these operators, maybe they want to innovate a little bit in their menu offerings. They see that there's a certain demand or appetite for a certain type of food. They can expand on that and just start, because there's no physical front.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the type of consumers, the merchants. Of course, obviously we want them for longer term. Those kind of, they're not there to just get their feet wet and then maybe back up and go back to the traditional way of running a food operations. But they're able to see the long-term benefits of having a cloud kitchen space. As well as growing with us, we will be ideally. Well, this year alone, we are targeting to open 3 locations. So yeah, that's the type of the operators, merchants that we want to. Foodlers, we call them. Our partners will be our foodlers to come on board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, they're all under one roof.
That's right.
In their own specialties, having their own menu. Is there a way that one will outshine the other in terms of of their specialties in their dishes or the menu, or how do you manage that?
That's why curating the partners, the foodlers, it has to be done in the very beginning. It has to be done right. We don't want one to cannibalize the other.
So you have to be selective.
You do have to be selective in the and to have selective and also comprehensive in the type of appetites that people
exactly.
want. In Malaysia, fortunately or unfortunately, it doesn't stay away from your lunch boxes, your nasi campur, your ayam goreng.
Yes.
So as long as we're meeting the demands of the appetites that people are having, we won't run into one cannibalizing the other.
Okay. Tony, can you share perhaps benefits of a cloud kitchen and how has it proven its worth? I know it's new in Malaysia.
There are many benefits. One particular benefit is the model's ability to reinvent a restaurant's P&L.
Okay.
Profit and loss.
Yes.
By default, when you are set up differently, and you allow yourself the room to structure your resources very differently. Although a typical Foodle location is rather large, our merchants operate out of highly efficient spaces, which by default reduces their footprint, their rent, and also their labor. So cost efficiencies and productivity out of every dollar of sale increases tremendously versus an average performing full restaurant. Which is the reason why earlier I said that if the unit economics support a full store, perhaps that would still be the ideal setup. So that is number one. Number two, the game of speed, as we call it. I mean, traditionally, even the fastest out there in the market would probably run or open a restaurant in a matter of 6 months. Anything earlier would be extremely fast, and perhaps that would not be ideal for a full store. Now, such a model such as Foodles or the cloud kitchens out there allow for someone to plug in and play and start selling and operating within a matter of weeks, because everything has been done for them.
Yeah.
So when a partner signs up with Foodle, that means we would have understood and set you up with the requirements that you will need in that kitchen. Number two, we would have set you up with your delivery partners.
Right.
Number three, we would have set you up with the technology that you need to start selling, leaving you enough time to, as Nadia mentioned earlier, to go and buy your aprons and spatulas and
that's what you need, isn't
start
it?
cooking. Yeah.
Just come with, just bring your apron and bring your chef hat, and that's it.
And number three would perhaps be, and this is underrated a little bit, but for a food operator, it will be very clear to them, the ability to, the flexibility that the model offers for one to be able to change their menus as they see fit. Now, every business would understand that in their offering, there will be the best-selling products.
Right.
And these are the products that people would know you for, and that is very likely that that is what they will order from you.
Right.
There will be some products that will not make it.
Right.
Now, the ability to change products in such a model is there purely because you have, each brand will not have an actual physical interaction with a brand, despite of the fact that we have dine-in, the dine-in and outsourced to Foodle.
Right.
So consumers will interact with Foodle and the food hall that we have in place. But to the operators, their ability to interchange among menu items or even brand offerings. I mean, we know of a lot of brands that only exist in the cloud, in the online space.
Exactly.
They do not have a physical presence. So what's to stop you, Raja, from running your own business that people would know you for, but in addition to that, throw in a few other menu items that or brands that you decide to experiment with, and the model allows for that. So these would be the three main benefits I would cost, efficiencies and productivity being the number one benefit that people will get out of the model.
Right. So for those that are there at Cloud Kitchen or at Foodle, Nadia, you need to monitor them very closely in terms of their quality, in terms of their service and presentation, I suppose, just to ensure, because these people carry the name Foodle, right? Yeah. So how do you manage that?
So the type of operators that will ultimately be on Foodle, they are most likely going to be food operators that you and I are both familiar with. Right. They've already had some sort of stake in the delivery industry, also traditional restaurant industry. So the preparation in terms of food safety and SOPs being built into the physical layout of Foodle itself, yes, that is very strictly monitored.
Right.
And then also then after the food gets cooked, it gets sent to the delivery rider. So in terms of delivery and timeliness, that also is beyond us already, because then it gets passed on to aggregators, Foodpanda and Grab Delivery doing what they do best. So for us, in terms of making sure that it's really just making sure the operations itself, when they're in our space, it is up to the highest standards of food preparation.
Of course, yeah.
And then later, so for their individual marketing, of course, we will do partnership marketings with these merchants as well. But for them individually, they would already have that sort of stake, that sort of reputation.
Right.
For
right.
preparation.
If I may add,
please,
because this is a bit perhaps too operational, however extremely important.
Right.
That relationship between Foodle and a merchant is defined not just in the benefits that we offer, but in a commitment by both parties to deliver on the quality, safety, and customer service standards.
Exactly. Yep.
So when a merchant onboards themselves with Foodle, they are fully aware of what these commitments are. They are contractual, and we have the team, Foodle team of operators that will take the merchants through such quality standards, not only those that are get a mentioning in the contract, but on a daily basis.
Right. Right.
The opening checks, the quality checks, the closing, the monthly commitments, the weekly commitments. So these are quality standards for me are key, not because we want to separate ourselves from the rest, but simply because we have found out that they are probably one of the most critical elements in sustaining a food business.
Right. Right.
Everyone can cook very good food.
Exactly.
But to be able to commercialize that and serve that in a manner that is consistent and safe, that takes quite a bit of skills,
I'm sure,
and a lot of experience.
I'm sure. Now, this being new in Malaysia, Tony, this F&B venture, how do you deal with competitors?
Yeah, I agree. The model is relatively new,
Right.
which is the reason why we are fully aware of the fact that, for starters, education is key. Educating the merchants or the potential, those brands that we believe have the potential to grow via this channel, which suggests that competition is very small.
Right.
There's no, so this is not competition between the KFCs and the McDonald's,
Right, yeah.
or the Grabs and
Right.
the Food Pandas,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So the industry is relatively new for all.
Right.
There are, I must admit, I have observed the market quite a fair bit for success stories. I must say there are quite a few good platforms and good success stories so far.
Right. Yeah.
However, it's still, the industry in itself is still too premature. How do we deal with the competition that is out there, although it's very small and minute, then would be to simply focus on the uniqueness of Foodle.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, Foodle is one of the few, probably one or two players out there that allows for a full set of sales channels. So a lot of the cloud kitchens are optimized for delivery, and that's what they do. But in our case, we are not only optimized for delivery, but also have a very nice and beautiful dine-in setting,
Right.
where consumers, if they decide to interact with the brands that we house in a dine-in setting, then we should give them the choice.
Right.
And that's what we have done. We're also the only one in the market, at least as far as I know, that offers fully equipped kitchens that are customized to an operator's needs. There's no tricks here. We don't offer shell kitchens
Right,
for
yeah.
operators to customize them, no. We offer a full set of equipment.
Right.
And if those equipment, some of those equipments are not suitable for our operators, then we will replace them.
Right. That's all the responsibility of Foodle.
That's right.
You guys take care of all that.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So, my last question, Tony.
Yes.
What's next, moving forward for Foodle?
Well, in an ideal world, we would have our presence in every state in Malaysia. And our data suggests that there is demand for such a product. So if we have the patience to be able to educate F&B operators of this new model that has been specifically introduced to deal with the traditional problems associated with an F&B, then we would be past the difficult stage and on to an expansionary stage, and that would be the exciting stuff.
I'm sure.
Of Foodle. Number two, I hope that as a brand, we do not forget the need to also help young entrepreneurs who wish to make an entry into the F&B industry.
I was coming to that because we have a culinary faculty.
That's right.
So what is the word? To be able to
Back to the
to be able to help them through that initial stage. See, the first step is the hardest, right?
Right.
So that is the word. To be able to incubate them, so that they can launch themselves in the market with good products, but also with the right operational infrastructure that allows them to take these products to consumers regardless of where they are,
right.
dine-in or delivery.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping that as we grow, as we educate the market and that allows us to grow, we will not forget to save one or two of our kitchens for the exciting young entrepreneurs who wish to make it into the F&B industry, but unfortunately do not have the 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 ringgit that is needed to set up their first location.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Tony Leka, Nadia.
Thank you for having
Yes,
us.
Thank you, Raja. Thanks
it's
for
an honor
having
to
us.
have you both on our program. Thank you. The F&B industry requires a new vision, and perhaps it's time for an overall change in the infrastructure in line with the latest trends, that is, the cloud kitchens. The time is now to embrace digital transformation and create new demands based on this new trend. And they can do this not simply as a stopgap measure during this pandemic, but to ensure sustainability and a slice of the Asian Pacific market volume of more than USD 100 million by 2024. Once again, thank you Tony and Nadia for being in our program, and we wish Foodle all the best in your cloud kitchen business. Foodle with its catchy tagline, "Our Kitchen, Your Solution." ECMians, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Edu Channel Malaysia. And may I take this opportunity to wish all ECMians, friends and colleagues, Salam Ramadan and Selamat Berpuasa. Until we meet again, take care and stay healthy everyone. Jumpa lagi.